Hey guys, how's it going? It's Danconia, and welcome back to the Overwatch League Roundup of Season 2019, and it's time to go through some more transfers, don't you think? Now, there haven't been a massive amount of transfers, but we left off with the head coach of Chengdu Hunters, Rui, leaving last time, and that is where we'll start off this time. Now, the first thing to consider is at the Vancouver Titans, where we see Shurk has left. Shurk has been in the Overwatch League for a while with the Vancouver Titans. He was also on the bench for Spitfire most of the time during the inaugural season. Shurk was with Runaway prior to being with Vancouver Titans. He is now going to actually stop playing. He's going to become a coach, or that's what he's trying to do anyway. And I think we should wish all the best to Shurk. And it does leave a DPS spot open at the Vancouver Titans. Again, that squad is getting smaller and nothing's happened to replace anything yet at the Vancouver Titans. So, yeah, I'm sure if you're a Vancouver fan, you're eagerly waiting for some news. And I'm sure it will come pretty soon. Anyway, moving on, and it's Florida Mayhem time. Now, I did a dedicated video on this, but we are going to go over it. They have two new coaches. They have brought in a head coach. It is Kuki from Runaway. Runaway, obviously, doing very well in career, as always. Kuki was in the Overwatch League as a tank previously, when he was at the Seoul Dynasty and the LA Valiant, before he left the league and went and took on a coaching role at Runaway, along with, you know, the organisation they've got there, with Runner returning now and Flowervin, and he did very, very, very well. Runaway winning Season 2 of Contender's career last year, but losing out in the gauntlet in the end. So Kuki is moving to the Florida Mayhem. He will be joined by another coach, an assistant coach called Docs. Now, Docs has a history with MVP Space, also, obviously, in Korea. MVP Space have always been around the Korean scene pretty much, although he did leave midway through this year and has been outside of the Overwatch realm for a few months, but a break is always good. I have made a video on that recently. And the Florida Mayhem, their coaching lineup is looking better and better. Can they match that with signings? Well, they have so far, so can't moan about that. Now, there's a small matter of a coaching problem to sort out at the NYXL next. Now, if you remember, much earlier on in this transfer window, we found out that Pavane would be leaving his head coach role at the NYXL to take up an assistant coach role at the London Spitfire. It kind of caught a lot of people off guard, but Pavane has a history with Agape, so that makes kind of sense there. But that means NYXL needed a new head coach, and they have finally found it. They have promoted IMT from assistant coach to their head coach, and this seems like a fairly sensible move for the NYXL. IMT's been underneath Pavane for quite a while now, and it makes sense for him to just take on the mantle at the NYXL. He may have his own ideas and may bring a slightly different playstyle to the NYXL. We will see what happens, but NYXL may now be on the lookout for another assistant coach. We don't know, but there has been no moves in regards to that so far. So, with that out of the way, we have another coaching change. A lot of coaching change to start off this one. It's interesting. It's at the Atlanta Reign. They have brought in Mentalist as an assistant coach. This is from GC Busan Wave, again in Korea. GC Busan Wave, again, another team that's been around Korea for quite a while. I'm sure you probably would have heard of GC Busan. And again, another Korean coach with a lot of experience. And it looks like a good coaching addition for the Atlanta Reign. The Atlanta Reign are making the additions on top of the really good squad they had last year, so the Atlanta Reign are looking pretty good shaping up for this 2020 season. But as we move on, we finally get some players. Now, I did create a video about this wholly and solely the other day, but we will go over it again. It's Yaki and Gangnam Jin. Now, if you didn't know, they have joined the Florida Mayhem from Runaway, following in Kuki's footsteps. And these are two fantastic signings for the Florida Mayhem. It's really good to see the Florida Mayhem picking up this caliber of player, and it really could turn the tides of that team. It has been a long time. Actually, it hasn't been a long time, because we've never seen a Florida Mayhem that's been competitive in the league. These sorts of signings are what will make Florida Mayhem competitive in the league, if they can coach them right. And Yaki and Gangnam Jin were coached by Kuki at Runaway, so they should work. They should work. There's a few more additions I'd like at the Florida Mayhem, but these two really do propel Florida Mayhem up the rankings, in my opinion. But again, you never know until you see what happens when the league starts. Moving on, and we come to the Boston Uprising. And again, I've had a lot of reservations about the Boston Uprising recently. They were on my video of worst transfer window so far because, yeah, they really haven't done too much, have they? Well, they have signed another DPS player. It's Munchkin. Now, you may remember Munchkin from the Overwatch League previously when he was with the Soul Dynasty. He's also been with Lunatic High and Laser Kittens before that as well. So, again, experienced DPS player, good on the hit scan. Of course, he's a DPS player, so he's good on a Brigitte, but he's not going to be playing Brigitte anytime soon. Again, hit scan, good to see Boston Uprising picking up a very good player here. And it'll be interesting to see where Boston Uprising go with this. Obviously, they now have 3 DPS players, Color Hex, Munchkin, and Jerry, and it'll be interesting to see which combination of those they put together. I would expect it to be Jerry and Munchkin, but who knows? I have had my doubts over Color Hex, so maybe this is Boston Uprising perhaps fixing that. Who knows? We will see when the league starts, I'm sure, but you never know what you're going to get with Boston Uprising, so let's just move on, shall we? Back to the NYXL then. And last transfer roundup, we found out the replacement off-tank for the NYXL, and it was Hotbar. Now, I was surprised to find out that the NYXL have actually signed another off-tank. It's Bianca. And Bianca was with XL2 previously. Now, XL2, I believe, are going through quite a big shake-up once again. It's not the first time in XL2's history that's going to happen. But Bianca is really, really young. He's only 17. He turns 18 on January the 1st. What a day to turn 18, huh? So he will be eligible for the league. It'll be interesting to see if they play Hotbar or play Bianca. This may be a look to the future for NYXL to bring Bianca through. Maybe they think he's not quite ready yet, and they want to play Hotbar and then bring him in gradually. This could be what NYXL are looking at as a bit of a sort of a Krillin, if you see what I mean, from the London Spitfire. A bit of a project player where they can develop him and he could become really, really good. But it's nice to see NYXL getting a bit of squad depth in their off-tank role, which they've never actually had. So that's really awesome to see for the NYXL, and a really good signing, I think we can all say. So, we swing back to the Boston Uprising again now, and it's another signing, and I actually think this is a pretty good darn signing. So, this is one of the players that popped off at the World Cup. It will be the first Dutch player in the league. It is BruceN. No, it's not Visility. I've talked a lot about Visility recently. But it's BruceN, the off-tank. Aged only 19, from the Netherlands, obviously. First Dutch player in the league. And it's the off-tank that Boston Uprising dearly, dearly needed. Now, it's interesting they seem to have gone down the European route with this off-tank. This would indicate to me that we are definitely looking at the mixed roster for the Boston Uprising. And I would assume they are going to pair BruceN with Fusions and not Axiom. I may be wrong, but it would make more sense to pair him with Fusions. It just makes sense to me. Fusions was good at the start of last season, but kind of tailed off when Orisa became meta. Orisa may not be meta when it comes to next season. And if Reinhardt's meta, that is right up Fusions' street. And BruceN is really good because he's got the Roadhog, who could be meta, and he's got the Sigma, who could be meta, and he's got the Diva, who's always good to have. The only thing we don't know too much is Zarya, but Zarya I believe is pretty good. BruceN is a really good signing for the Boston Uprising. I can't wait to see how the tank duo, if it turns out that it is Fusions and BruceN, I want to see how that tank duo does, because that could be good. It could be good, but actually it can depend on the coaching of the Boston Uprising. And I have never had a lot of faith in the coaching of the Boston Uprising since Krusty left, so. Moving on, I'm not going to slate the Boston Uprising too much. Good signing. Finally, we have an 8-man roster for the London Spitfire. You know all those teasers we were going on about the other day? Well, it's finally happened. So, 5 signings for the London Spitfire. Sanguinar, Hiley, JMac, Glister, and Shui. Right, let's go through these a minute. Sanguinar has been signed from Gen.B. This is an academy team of Gen.G. Gen.G is the academy team of Soul Dynasty. So it's an academy of an academy. It's confusing. He is a main support, known a lot for his Lucio. Really good signing. The only signing they've made from a fellow Overwatch League team is Hiley. You probably will have heard of him if you've been around the Overwatch League. Didn't play a massive amount for Soul Dynasty, but he is a young player. He'll be playing the Zen Ana role, and again, this adds a bit of experience to what looks like a very unexperienced top-level London side. A lot of these players don't have experience in the Overwatch League. As far as I can see, I think it's only Hailey and Krillin that will have limited experience in the Overwatch League, so there is development to be done at the London Spitfire by the looks of it. Then we've got JMac, he'll be their main tank from LGE.Huya, and then we have Glister. Now Glister stands out to me, he's a DPS, obviously from Gen.G. Glister did very well in Korean contenders with Gen.G, and he's got that really good capability on the projectile DPS. Glister has always been a name to stand out in Korean contenders, and a lot of people expected him to be picked up by an Overwatch League team, and it's London Spitfire who get the lucky pick this time. He is only 17 right now, which is really, really good from a London Spitfire point of view. He's got a lot of years in him, but he will come of age before the league starts, so there isn't too much to worry about if you're a London Spitfire fan there. And then lastly we have Shui. Shui is only 18 again. He has been around the Overwatch scene for a little bit, starting off at Mackie Esports and then going to Runaway. He did very well at Runaway, he's known a lot for his Genji. Again, only 18, it's a young squad for the London Spitfire, but another really good DPS signing. DPS lineup at the moment of Shui and Glister looks really good for the London Spitfire. So, again, you don't know what this team is going to do until you just smack them together and let them go. But it looks good. One thing that London Spitfire did say in their tweet when they announced this is the fact that this is their initial 8. That would indicate that there are more signings perhaps on the way for the former champions. And I think actually they possibly need it. I don't think they need it necessarily in the support role. They've got 4 supports now, London Spitfire, which is more than... well, they haven't had that many since basically they were created. And they kind of lack in perhaps another flex DPS and perhaps another tank, maybe another off tank. It might be someone who I might talk about in a minute, but we'll get to that in a sec. But London Spitfire with a lot of signings this week, well, finally confirmed signings anyway, and they finally have a roster for us to talk about. It looks interesting, and it's an interesting way for London to go, and it might pay off with the coaching talent that they've got now. Next we are off to the Paris Eternal, just to hop over the pond if you're me. So there's been a lot of discussion around the main tank issue at the Paris Eternal recently, where people have been saying, is Bembest necessarily the best idea going into the next season? Bembest didn't really shine in the main tank role for Paris last season, and it seems the Paris Eternal would agree. They have signed a main tank. It is No Smite. If you remember No Smite, you probably will. He was playing for the Hangzhou Spark last season, and then moved to to a two-way contract, I should say, with their academy team in China, Bilibili Gaming, and he's a decent main tank. He's Korean, and this seems to be the way that Paris Eternal are going now, which Paris Eternal fans don't tend to like, some of them. I don't know why. Koreans, you can have a mixed roster, you know? You can have a mixed roster. Soon's not going to go anywhere. Like, calm down, guys. But No Smite is an interesting one. I wouldn't say he's the best main tank they could have picked up. I'm not going to lie. I don't think he's quite up to the level of some of the other signings that the Paris Eternal have made this transfer window. Because we know, when we're talking about Paris Eternal's other signings, we're looking at the likes of G and Sparkle and Hanbin from Element Mystique, and they're really, really good players. Is No Smite on their level? I'm not sure. Is he better than Bembest? I think so. So, it's an improvement for the Paris Eternal, and he might gel well with the new Korean players that they've got. It'll be interesting to see how this squad works, though. It really will be, because it's difficult to know whether it'll all fit in. But, again, that's down to coaching and the way it's set up, and with a lot of Korean coaches on the Paris Eternal right now, it'll be interesting to see how the European half of Paris, like Cruz and Gray and Hip and Bembest, Nico and Soon, react to that and how that works. But that's something we can't tell until the season starts. It might take a while for Paris to gel, but when they do, they could pop off big time. And the last thing I wanted to mention is not an Overwatch League transfer. It's just something to keep in the back of your mind. So, I was talking about an off-tank situation at London Spitfire. Obviously, they signed Banar, who is a good off-tank from the Fusion University, but I wouldn't say he's not like top level from what we see right now. And there's a lot of questions, is he good enough? There's a few teams in the league looking for off-tanks, and I saw something that happened the other day that struck me as odd. And this is a off-tank that has just become available. It's QOQ from Runaway. I was surprised that all of a sudden he was let go from Runaway. So keep an eye on QOQ, because if he's not doing military service in South Korea, which he shouldn't be at his age, I wouldn't have thought, then he's looking for a team, and for him to just be randomly let go from Runaway like that, maybe an Overwatch League team is about to make a move for QOQ, which I wouldn't be surprised about, to be quite honest. But that's just one to look out for. I'm going to leave this roundup here. Once there are more transfers, there will be another roundup, probably about a week's time, because that's generally the speed transfers are going at right now. And there'll be more content between now and then. But for now, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, give it a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next video. See you then.